Hello everyone, back to today's second video. I've already done the 5-day forecast. You can find the video to that here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page, it's underneath the link. As there's also the written version, you can get to that via buttons at the top of the page. Going to be a changeable 5 days coming up. This video is going to extend out beyond the 5-day forecast period. We're going to have a look at the weather the next week to 10 days. And we'll also have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre for the next 40 days as well. So we're going to start off with the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. Going to be quite warm for the rest of the working week. The dates are on the bottom of the graph, of course. So over the next couple of days, temperatures are going to be lifting up. But as we go into the weekend, which is this period just here, we're going to find the temperatures dropping down. It looks like we're going to be turning quite cool, actually, over the weekend, and for a time into next week as well. Then after that, and I talked about this in the video yesterday, there is a lot of scatter as we're heading off into the second week of June, which is this period just here. So we've got something like a 20-degree temperature differential from the warmest to the coldest ensemble members. So some of these ensemble members for the second week of June really are going very warm, if not hot. Actually, a few of these could be producing Spanish plumes and that sort of thing. Equally, though, there are several members of the ensemble that are quite cool. So, actually, it's very difficult to say where things are going through the second week of June. What we can say, and we talked about this in the video yesterday, is that we are going into, or we're seemingly going into more changeable periods. So, not much rain coming up through the rest of this week during this period just here. Not a great deal of rain going on. Even into the weekend, it just looks a little bit showery. But as we go into next week, it looks like we've got quite a lot of rain coming up next week. Now, it might be that the model is going a bit over the top with the rainfall for next week. Generally, over the past few months, things have turned out to be less wet than the model output is predicting. But if you take the ensemble at face value, it does look as though next week could bring quite a bit of rain, actually, to many parts of the country. But it is associated with all of this scatter. So some of this rain might be from Atlantic frontal systems. Some of it, however, might be thundery rain, coming up with warm temperatures, maybe even thunderstorms from a Spanish plume. So, as I say, really difficult to say what's going to happen into the second week of June, other than it is likely to be quite a changeable period. Temperature anomalies over the next week from the 31st of May to the 8th of June are coming out very close to average. Scotland and Northern Ireland a little bit cooler than average. England and Wales a little bit warmer than average, but generally not a great deviation. Precipitation anomalies for the next week look near normal for England and Wales, but wetter than average for Scotland and Northern Ireland. And I think you can see from that we are quite clearly going into a more changeable period. And if that GFS ensemble graph is right, we can probably expect above average rain across many parts of the country as we go into the second week of June. So over the next few days, we'll probably see these charts trending wetter. This is how the GFS is looking for Sunday. Then, of course, this period is covered by 5-day forecast, but I thought we'd just start with Sunday. Low pressure is out to the west of the country, and we're bringing these showery conditions in from off the Atlantic. So sunshine and showers for sunny. That continues into Monday as well. There's probably some sort of secondary feature just here starting to head in from off the Atlantic. So Monday might bring a longer spell of rain, especially down in the south. We see that areas of low pressure then across England and Wales on Tuesday. That's quite a trough within the 500 millibar flow. The jet stream is also going a bit to the south of the country as well. So cool and unsettled, distinctly cool and unsettled to start next week. Wednesday brings a little bit of a transient ridge in off the Atlantic, so that could be a slightly better day, but you see it's all low pressure out in the Atlantic. And then on Thursday, we're bringing another area of low pressure in from the west. And of course, this is the day that's going to be the general election. So it does look as though there could be quite a lot of heavy rain, actually, for this general election in the north and west of the country through Thursday morning. And then perhaps getting a little bit more widespread on Thursday afternoon. So that could be quite a memorable election day, to say the least, with quite a lot of rain across the country. You notice there's more rain out in the Atlantic, sort of lurking in that area. That's more sort of areas of low pressure that could be heading our way. So this does look like quite an unsettled period. That's how we go into Friday, looking very unsettled. Low pressure is again coming in from off the Atlantic. We've got another low out here. That looks like it's bringing the next batch of rain in on Friday next week, and then we go up to day 10, which is Saturday the 10th of June, and we are still looking very unsettled at that point with low pressure to the eastern side of the country. So a little bit of an Atlantic onslaught being signalled here through next week. Might be going a little bit over top, but it does look very changeable. ECWF for Sunday is cool and showery. That continues into the start of next week. Then we go through into Wednesday, again a little bit of a transient build of pressure to the south, but this area of low pressure just here, it's a deep one for June, 985 millibars at its centre. That is sending weather systems our way, which could lead us into quite a notably wet and windy general election day on Thursday, the 8th of June. Don't know what that would do for voter turnout, but it could be quite a nasty day. Beyond that, we find that the unsettled conditions continue up to day 10, which is Saturday the 10th of June. It's still looking unsettled. Look how far south this area of low pressure is just here. That's on a very southerly track. That could develop and either push through some parts of France, bring a lot of rain to them, or it could push that way and bring us another dollop of wet and windy weather over that weekend of the 10th and the 11th of June. So these are very changeable looking charts for the early part of June. And how long is this changeable weather going to go on for? Let's have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre for the next 40 days. So these are the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period taking us from the 1st through to the 10th of June. It looks really unsettled for this one. Deep trough to the north in the 500 millibar flow. We've got above average heights to our south, but not really going to do a great deal for us. We're bringing the jet stream through. The first week to 10 days of June is looking unsettled and changeable. Now we go through to the next 10 days. This is the 11th through to the 20th of June. And signs that heights are starting to rise. And still below average heights to the north, still a little bit to the south, but it looks like we're starting to get a build of pressure through the central Atlantic, and that's possibly starting to throw a bit of a ridge across the UK and western parts of Europe. So through this middle part of June, we're possibly starting to break out of that unsettled interlude, and then this pressure continues to build as we go into the final 10 days, this taking us from the 21st of June through to the 30th, and we find that above average heights then are centred over the top of the country. So that looks far better. We've got low pressure out to the west and also to the north. The jet streams going to the north as well. So that's probably summer arriving there in the second half of June. And that's kind of thing that the CFS was hinting at in yesterday's video as well. I mean, it looks like this build of pressure is likely to continue sitting around very close to the country as we go into the first 10 days of July. This is the 1st through to the 10th of July, days 31 to 40. Again, the jet stream is probably doing something a bit like that. So it looks mainly dry there and quite warm. So we have got this very unsettled spell of weather that we're going to go through, I think, over the next week to 10 days. But beyond that, the signals still seem to be, famous last words with these long-range models, but they still seem to be pointing towards much drier and warmer conditions in the second half of June. So it might be that this return of the westerlies or the June monsoon, whatever you want to call it, might be fairly short-lived. And actually, as we go into the middle part of the month and the second half of June, we might see much warmer and drier conditions returning. But certainly for the next week to 10 days, I think we've got a little bit of an Atlantic onslaught to get through, which could well bring some really quite cool and wet weather through the first week to 10 days of June. Right, don't forget to check out Friday forecast if you've not yet done so. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.